Good afternoon. Today we are presenting our work about the adoption behavior of digital decision support for site-specific crop management. And this is joint work of Marie Leuchten from Bonn University and Michael Leier from Rostock University and me, Silke Hüttel, also from Bonn. Digital decision support for site-specific crop management actually offers farms to save money. They need actually less fertilizer. Also, farms could have benefits from meeting their documentation obligations in light of nitrate and other input regulation. This means, in fact, producing at lower costs. Besides these economic terms, such technologies offer production at reduced environmental harm. For instance, the risk of groundwater pollution could be reduced. And also, such technologies offer the integration of species protection zones within existing cropping systems. Consider, for instance, buffer strips. This overall makes those systems benefiting from an improved ecosystem and contributing to a more resilient production system. Against these advantages, however, the adoption rates seem comparatively low. And this actually motivated our study. Our aim was to enhance the understanding of adoption barriers of such digital farming technologies. And we took the psychological perspective and investigated the influence of others on the adoption decision of farmers. For instance, the role neighboring farmers had and other peer groups.
So the approach that we used is the, in psychology, widely established recent action approach. It's rooted in the theory of recent action and the theory of planned behavior. And the overall framework has been developed for lots of contexts, but has always to be tested in the specific context. And the theory has three pillars, which are behavioral beliefs, so kind of the cognitive logic perspective, so that you think about something that you would like or not, therefore resulting in attitude. The normative beliefs leading to perceived norms, so especially this aspect of what is the influence of the others, what do they think, how do they influence me, and the control beliefs leading to perceived behavioral control, which are relevant for the question or for the aspect of whether you can actually do it, so whether you have the chance of, for example, enough investment capability. These three lead to the intention to use, in our case, variable rate nitrogen technology as the exemplary technology to improve sustainable farm practices. And the intention then is leading to the use, which might not always be the case, that you have the intention that always leads to the use of the specific technology. We applied the model to a convenient sample that we gathered in fall 2018 among German farmers. We used various channels to get the respondents answering with an online questionnaire. We found 98 respondents who fully filled out the questionnaire. And well, as you can imagine, it's an online questionnaire. It's highly educated young farmers mostly, who were also then motivated to contribute to our study. The results are quite interesting because we can especially see that the perceived norms are the main predictor, while the attitude or the behavioral beliefs leading to attitude and the control beliefs and perceived behavioral control are not relevant in our context. So the main core of our results shows it's the perceived norms that influence whether there is an intention to use the VRNT, and that also for sure has a trade-off to the use of VRNT. So we can see that we lose some people on the way, but still it's relevant to explain. However, we also wanted to know in a post-hoc test, who are the people that actually influence that? And as you can see, we found, well, results for all the four groups, which are, however, a bit contradictory. You can see that experts, farmers and users have a positive perspective, positively adding to the perceived norms, while the advisors are having a negative influence, which is quite interesting, as there might be some results to discuss.
So the message is that our respondent group of farmers relies on reference groups when deciding about the use of such, we call it, digital fertilization techniques. This seems reasonable as this technology is not only an improvement of the old cropping system, it rather represents a first step towards a new digitally supported crop management systems with the chance to increase sustainability of crop production. So in fact, farmers tend to outsource complex decision-making, and societal exchange seems of greater importance than pure information flow and cost-benefit analysis on paper. This calls for tangible events where farmers have the possibility for a direct exchange. For instance, workshops or demonstrator events seem to be more reasonable. As such, we believe that sustainable agri-food systems can and should be supported, and thereby it is important to foster information flow to achieve higher large-scale adoption rates of such digital techniques. And thereby it is important to foster the exchange, to initiate and sustain the learning process, and to start up a regional cluster development.
As with any research, our results are, however, with limitations. So as already pointed out, we have a selection bias like digital preferences. What we also don't know, since we focus on the social part, we don't know the social relationships of the farmers. So we don't know how they're connected with other farmers that's shown to have an influence. And we only focus on digital fertilization as an exemplary technology to increase sustainable farming. So which brings us to future work that the processes in the cognitive perspective should be analyzed further. So we should better understand why exactly and how the influence is taking place, which, however, requires also to analyze the role of the social networks and also the environmental appraisals, because we also didn't analyze whether there is really an interest in supporting environmental farming. And for sure, we also should have a look whether our implications then actually lead to an increase of adoption by the social peers.
Thank you for listening.